because they're the Big Ten, but they have 12 teams. It's really upsetting mathematically. Like, I don't.
We talk about this every time.
It pisses me off that they're that smart but that dumb. But anyway, so and now there's beef from that because Jim Harbaugh pretty much had a beef with Ryan Day, and he said, "Well, Ohio State broke some rules," and Ryan Day was like, "You worry about your team, and I worry about my team." And Ohio State's pretty much been bitch-slapping Michigan for the better part of, like, the last 15 years. So...
I mean, it's funny because he's been hired to beat Ohio State, and he can't do it.
Not like I think Rich Rod beat Ohio State more than Harbaugh has.
Has Harbaugh?
Has Harbaugh ever beat Michigan?
I don't think he's beat... Not once.
I don't think so. Not once. Not one time.
All that money, and that's the only... They could care... I mean, well, they obviously care about championships, but you got to beat your rival.
Denard Robinson, Shoelace, who's like an offensive control assistant coach for the Jaguars now. That dude almost won a Heisman at Michigan.
And also the last cover athlete of NCAA football.
That was one of the GOAT games. He was a cheat code. Especially on PS2. It wasn't
that
bad.
offense was shit though. That Rich Rod offense was nasty.
Nah, if you just knew how to.
No, I'm sorry. That was post
Brady
Rich
Hoke?
Rod.
That was Brady Hoke.
Yeah, you're right. Because Rich Rod was already with Arizona at that point.
Yep. But when you look at it, they're all saying the same thing in the Big Ten. And there was a call with players from the SEC last
A call?
week.
They're from New York?
I said a call.
You said call. Well, go ahead.
I said, don't try to make something up that don't exist. You're the one who can't enunciate words, fam. It's okay. It's all right. But anyway, with the Big Ten, it was like 1,000 of them. Like, insane amount of players. They're all saying, look, man, we don't feel comfortable playing. We don't want to play. You need to allocate like 50% of whatever funds you have towards like medical staff, making sure we're all safe. If nobody else is on campus, why do we have to be on campus? You need to protect our scholarships. You can't take away our scholarship if we don't want to play this year. And also when it comes to back to the Pac-12's instance, they don't want retaliation because in the case of Washington State head coach, he told Cassidy Wood, the receiver, you know, if you're going to sit out because of COVID, that's one thing. But if you're going to sit out because you want to join them and this group of athletes wants to hold the Pac-12 accountable for how they're not being responsible with their students, and that's going to be a problem. Because somebody told Cassidy Woods to clean out his locker like the next day once this letter came out. And people on Twitter and other players were like, they're already kicking, you know, cats off the team. It's like, well, if you're not going to be on the team, then you don't need to have a locker. But it's like, he's not on the team. He's on the team, and he's not forfeiting his scholarship. So, therefore, you shouldn't take his locker because it's a national, global pandemic right now. And he doesn't want to play for medical reasons. So, there's some backlash there. But Washington State, Pullman, there's just something weird and conservative going on up there all the time. So I'm not even really shocked that came out there. But yeah, when it comes to college football and all these different conferences, all these players coming out saying the same thing. First it was, oh wait, so they're passed a law in California, we can get money off our likeness, and this is just this year. And then they go to, okay, now we're going to stand up to our schools and have all the black players come out with letters denouncing all the racism that's been going on at these schools that they make millions of dollars for, billions of dollars for. And now, oh shit, it's a global pandemic. Now you need those athletes to play for you, but you're not really making the environment as safe as possible because, hell, Clemson had like 40 people test positive for COVID. Rutgers had 28 people test positive for COVID recently. UCLA, it just came out, they had 8 people test positive for COVID. And UCLA even had that article in the LA Times and the Daily Breeze about how they want an outside medical opinion because they don't trust team doctors. They don't trust the coaches to put them in the best position, and they've had multiple players sue UCLA in the past couple of years. Former players, people who transferred out. So this situation isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
And we can talk about that more a little bit later when we got a calling guest, hopefully at the top of the hour, live on Touchdowns and Tangents on the Good News radio station. Shout out to FPC Radio. Shout out to X Squad affiliates. Shout out to your favorite podcast app and everywhere else that you can find this podcast.
And shout out to all the other petty podcasts at the Good News in general. Shout out to a dope-ass podcast.
Shout out to Courtside, Mikhail, PG, the station manager of the sports station. It's his birthday. I believe he admitted he turned 31. So,
31? Damn,
yeah,
black don't crack.
All this is a birthday party right here.
Allegedly.
All right, so with that, let's move on to touchdown or turnover. So first up, we got Notre Dame and Navy. They won't play for the first time in 93 years. Kenny, is that a touchdown or a turnover?
Can somebody cue up Boys to Men so hard to say goodbye for me? Real quick? I just want to hear it.
Next week.
Just go to YouTube and just play it. Just put a lighter in the air and start crying. Notre Dame screwed. And so are these service academies. They're all feeling the pinch because
they've been operating at an unfair advantage for like 40 years.
They just have
because they get all that TV money.
Yeah, they have these secret handshake deals, and it's like, okay.
They're not really secret handshake deals.
But I mean, it started
$1 million
like,
huge deals.
Army used to blow people out. Notre Dame used to blow people out by ungodly numbers, and then they have this tradition where they play each other, and it's like, man, once they opened up college football, Army and Navy have never been a national threat.
The reason why they're able to do what they do is because they get massive TV money because Notre Dame, Catholics watch Notre Dame like religiously, like
an NBC.
They'll even just have it on there just to have it on.
If it's not church, it's Notre Dame.
Yeah, exactly. And Navy's the same way. Like
even when they're getting their ass kicked
with Navy people and all the service academies to an extent, but
they're actually all really good now.
Yeah, which is weird.
Like it was just Navy and then Army and Air Force were trash, but nah, like except I think
so all that's why these leagues let them play on their terms because they get that residual money and that extra national TV spot on NBC that they wouldn't otherwise get. So it works out for them too, but you know, obviously it's going to be a different season this year.
If they're even, we don't even really know if there's going to be one.
I mean, from top to bottom, which
like in high school sports, like
which is like a
cats are moving to
meta like
other states.
Undercut of this whole entire podcast, but whatever.
We'll make a segment of Ricky Bobby fashion tips.
I don't know what you're putting in the but that was a little bit too much for me.
We're going to be a football podcast with no football.
That's easy, bro. We thrive where everybody else fails.
Yeah, that is actually what we do. But
like, it's easy.
Shout out to every other's.
I could do a podcast. We could do a podcast on sanitizer.
Culturally sports adjacent podcasts out there because we started doing it first, but
we really were first, and we didn't get the credit for it. We were doing that shit in college.
Now it's cool to not stick to sports, but we were doing it first.
We were doing it first, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, did you hear what so and so said?" Yeah, we heard. Man, like looking back, college really was some of the. We came up in the perfect era for just a lot of shit. Like, we came up in the perfect era for Snapchat, Yik Yak, RIP Yik Yak. I'm definitely
RIP.
Pretty sure. You know. He knows. Yeah. Oh, man. Fun times.
I feel like our generation right now, we're worse than the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. So, growing up and going to college during our time is
But our drugs are a lot more...
Cut? No.
Oh, we have a
cocaine in 2020 is ass compared to the 80s. That cocaine ruined families.
Weed is much better.
Yeah, that's true. But that's because scientifically it's more enhanced.
I don't even know. Cocaine might be more pure.
Cocaine is
Cocaine might be more pure.
Yeah, people went straight to pills in the worst way in our generation. Like in like the 80s, they would just pop some and be good. But like we're like, oh shit! I heard an Evanescence song. I'm gonna go pop some pills real quick.
What the fuck? Evanescence.
Who the fuck pops pills?
Welcome back, 1999.
Yeah, well, I mean, are you fucking middle school, bro? Like,
oh, you really want to talk about depressing ass middle school songs? Okay, Good Charlotte, Linkin Park.
Good Charlotte wasn't even depressing. They were old as fuck.
They were depressing
because
they sucked. That's why they were depressing because
Linkin Park was just cool because
they were on
like,
Madden. That's the only reason why they were cool.
Good Charlotte was on Madden too.
Yeah, but Good Charlotte. No, you just hit the same group twice.
Good Charlotte and Linkin Park were both.
But Linkin
on
Park was great, like universally great.
That was
Good
like
Charlotte was like, we were like, you're like the PE fucking teacher who started a rock band.
With the Uncle Joe, with the free throw.
Literally, like, I'm pretty sure Good Charlotte did Whippets.
I mean,
and they thought that was cool.
That was pretty much that era of music, though.
Nah, but like Linkin Park was some hardcore shit.
Yeah, but they were singing about teenage shit too, and they were grown ass people. Simple Plan, same shit.
All American
Blink-182,
Rejects,
Yellow Card.
All them motherfuckers were old as hell, bro. Singing about little 13, 14-year-old shit.
But we came up in that era. We were attached to it because we all grew up too fast.
Yeah,
90s kids grew up too fast. Late 80s.
Yeah, because you see what fucking cartoons we were watching? That shit was wild.
That was wild. I used to watch,
who greenlit all that shit?
I used to watch naked ass chicks in cartoons, and I'm like, how did this get cleared? Like Dragon Ball Z anime in the library was some next level shit.
All right, so set up this next one. Washington State.
Hold on.
You put it on a rundown. You can't set it up? All right.
You mean the one I just talked about?
I don't know. You have it on a rundown.
Washington State.
Washington State head coach.
Yeah, I already talked about that.
All right. This is why I say to not put it in the touchdown or turnover because you just talk about it.
It says more CFB. Now we can talk about Maryland head coach Mike Loxley and what he did, which I didn't touch on during college football.
Go for it.
So he literally started up a group for minority football coaches. Because he's like, I'm 50 and tail end of my career, and it's just as hard to get into coaching and progress as a minority, which really just means non-white person, than it was in 1992. And he put together the group, not only for NFL coaches, but college as well. And it's insanely impressive. There's only 3 black head coaches in the NFL and 14 black head coaches amongst the 130 football teams in college football, D1 college football.
I mean, obviously it's a touchdown because you got to do something, right? But at the same time,
the National Coalition of Minority Football Coaches.
With any of these sort of, people of color affinity groups, it's like, yeah, we can be on the outside and get together and talk about the problems and even maybe come to a common ground of solutions. But at the end of the day, like, we're not the institution and there's only so much that we can do. So it's like they can issue statements, they can network, they can help each other out. Like, all those things are going to be meaningful and important. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of jaded on the whole issue. Like, how much can we really expect from them, I guess you could say.
So you're calling it a touchdown?
I mean, I still think it's a touchdown because, like he said, he's 50 years old, still just as hard to break in. Like, at least he's doing something about it. He's trying to make it better for people behind him. But am I optimistic in terms of, is it going to make those numbers better? Probably not, because the same decision makers at GM, at front office, at owner are still going to uphold the same sort of cowardly, let me hire people who look like me versus, let me take a chance on this person who has a different life experience and look than I do.
Okay. Keep that in mind. This is their board of directors. Ozzie Newsome. Like, just
one of the greatest black front office people.
Greatest front office people ever.
Yeah.
In any sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Evaluators of talent ever. And a Hall of Fame tight end. First black general manager in the NFL. Responsible for Lamar Jackson, which was the final pick of his career as a, the GM. Then you have Nick Saban.